Okay.
Okay.
In our opinion on suitability for parole. That's what we're trying to figure out. It's nothing against you or anything like that, right?
It feels like it is because she told me that I was bad before she even came in the building. So how does that make somebody like me feel?
It's not.
Makes me not even want to try to say, you know what, I don't even want parole because
We have to
this is
prepare,
what I have to deal with.
No parole for tape.
and we listen. So
Thank you for your time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we're about to watch the Connecticut parole hearing for this Manbaby. This Manbaby, who in my opinion fits just the precise definition of the word. And he can't stay out of trouble. He loves to be busted carrying firearms. His last incident in 2023, well, he seemed to have gotten in an accident, then fell asleep in the parking lot when the police came and found another firearm on him. It's the most bizarre, but also dangerous, very scary. And this hearing, it might take a little bit of a surprising turn, maybe not one that he expected, not with seeing the information that I just provided to you. Now, I'll unpack it with the details and more information on the crime at the end.
Joseph Kennyers, 357-940.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application. Joseph Kenny Hertz, inmate number 357-940, is serving a sentence of 6 years executed suspended after 3 years jail with 3 years probation for false reporting concerning injury or death, stealing a firearm, criminal possession of a pistol/revolver, illegal possession of a large capacity magazine, criminal possession of a firearm, interfering with an officer/refusal, second, and evading responsibility injury/property. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 1st, 2025. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. The offender has not completed any program.
You are trash.
Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the SRT falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
You have something written?
No, but I would just like to have a chance to get out there and prove myself. I have a wife who I left alone to pay all the bills and everything, and I would like to just be able to get out there and work and move on with my life and hopefully have a bright future and put all this behind me.
Is that it, sir?
That's it.
All right. So we've read about your case, what's brought you to this incarceration, what's happened since you've been in, your interview with the parole officer. And based upon that, we have some questions for you to arrive at if you're suitable for parole. And we're going to talk about your case and give you a decision, okay?
Okay.
And we're going to start questions today with Board Member Rodriguez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Kenny Hertz, correct?
Good afternoon.
Kenny Hertz?
Yes.
Last name, Kenny Hertz?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, I appreciate, your opening words, and we know that people want to get home and they want to see their family and they want to, be able to get out there and, do things. But it's important for us to understand why we should do that, why we should let you out. And I'm going to say that your opening statement for me didn't reflect any kind of suitability at this moment. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to fill us in with some additional information so that we can make that kind of a decision.
Okay.
The charges that you have obviously are very concerning, right? They're serious. They're weapons charges. They're created a false report. You have I think there's different possessions of firearms. You have resisting with an officer. That alone for me is just, very concerning. And you didn't address anything around those particular issues around your offense. Can you talk a little bit about like what all that was about and why did you have to have a weapon?
Is I was just I put myself in a bad situation and around the wrong people. I was using drugs heavy at the time. I had lost my mom prior and
Lost what? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
my mother.
You lost.
Yeah. And,
Sorry to hear
and then-
that.
Thank you. And then prior to that, I had gotten into a severe accident. So through all that, I was using drugs and I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't being a good man or a good husband to my wife, and everything combined was just really weighing on me. And I wasn't. The people I was hanging around with weren't good for me. The things I was doing wasn't good for me, and that all combined just led to me being out of control. I had no business having the firearm, and I just wish it never happened.
Well, I'm sure I can understand why you would wish that. I really do. But what I did understand when I read some of your information, you seem to minimize your involvement in most of what's going on. You try to justify the accident, why that happened, and the false reporting. You talked about being asleep in the car, and they found the gun. I mean, the gun was in the car. Why was it in the car? I still don't understand why you had a weapon.
A Bridgeport man is facing charges this morning after police say he was found with an illegal high-capacity rifle following a crash that injured 2 city employees.
News 12 Connecticut's Lauren Fabrizi joins us in the newsroom with the details. Lauren.
Good morning. Joseph Kennyhertz is facing several charges, and those include illegal possession of a large capacity magazine and criminal possession of a firearm. Now, police say he was also issued a motor vehicle infraction. The crash happened around 8:15 yesterday morning at the intersection of East Main Street and Barnum Avenue. Police say they got a call from a city employee reporting an accident involving a city pickup truck and a van. Well, police say while an officer was gathering some documents from those involved in the crash, another officer noticed a high-capacity rifle in Kennyhertz's van. Police say there was also a high-capacity ammunition magazine in that van, and that the van had misuse plates. Kennyhertz was taken into custody, and the 2 city employees, we are told, were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
And I understand. I'm not sure what the loss of your mother and what the fact that you were using drugs, unless you were selling drugs, and you probably ended up. I mean, why did you have a weapon?
I was not living at home at the time. I was basically living out of my car, and I was using drugs, and I wasn't staying in safe places. I was staying in the car.
Where did you get the gun?
Off the street.
And so you didn't have a permit for it. Have you had any training to fire a weapon or shoot a weapon?
No, I didn't.
Would you? I mean, don't you think that's kind of dangerous to have a weapon in your control and not have a license, not have any training to fire it?
Yes.
Why was it stolen? Why do I have stolen and not bought?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm hoping you can understand the difficulty of this, right? And then
Yes,
being
I
able to
do.
make this kind of a decision. If I look at that, and then I look at the fact that you didn't do any programming, and you talked about having a drug problem, how do I, come up with a decision to say, yeah, this is an individual that really should be out there, and the public's going to be really safe out there. I mean, you didn't do any programming. What? Are you participating in the meth program now?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And tell me what you're doing in that program besides taking meth.
I was going to counseling sessions in groups.
And what are you getting from all of that?
I'm getting the when I do go back in the community that I do need to seek aftercare, get into a intensive outpatient program in more groups and have accountability, find maybe like a sponsor and have accountability definitely through the program that I will be going to when I leave, and make sure that I follow up with my problem with a counselor or a psychiatrist.
You did some community programming, right? When you were out in the community?
Yes, I did.
What happened? 2020, you went to a detox program. Did you follow up with that? That was after your mom passed?
No, that was before she passed.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to the detox, and then I fell again, and then after she passed, I started using again, and then that led me down this road.
Yeah. I mean, I hear that. I'm struggling with, and you haven't, you've got these serious charges that, how long have you been in? How long have you been in this facility?
In this facility, 5 months.
And before that?
I was in the county jail for 13 months.
So now you got 13 months, 5 months, you've got 18 months of being inside, and you're just taking methadone programming when you need so many other kinds of services to be able to help prepare you for your release on the outside.
They don't have me in any other programs.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't, look for programming to better yourself. We get a lot of individuals who come in front of us who have an OAP, but also look for those other things to improve themselves and better their lives and make their lives better and, much more prepared for the outside, because you're going to be going back outside again. And it seems from your past experiences that when you have some sort of stress situation, you fall back to relapsing. So, I would think that you would want to be as prepared as possible on the outside before you go out, to have your things set up so that, you're not waiting for things or having to prepare things and get caught up in whatever the stresses are of being on the outside. What?
I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you understand that, because that is my major concern, that I don't feel that, and I don't hear from you that you're really, kind of ready to be out there, and you still have some time available right now to be able to do some additional work, to really kind of prepare yourself, prepare a strong relapse plan for yourself on the outside, and to, kind of do the work that you need to do to, put your head in a place where you can get the things done that you want to get done. The CDL, you want to be able to go back to school. You want to be able to manage your money, which I'm sure has been a challenge for you in the past. And I think, for me, I think you need a little bit more time to kind of prepare for that. What do you think?
Well, we do have a plan for when I get out there. I'm going to return to Kinsella Treatment Center, and we are going to do the intensive outpatient program. It's 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 to 3. Those 3 days, and then there's a requirement that is 3 individual sessions to either go to AA or NA, one group there per week and 2 outside groups. And then we are trying to enroll at a group in our church, Cornerstone Christian Center, where they teach a finance course there. We're trying to do that, and my wife has already set up for the CDL for me to go take classes. I have she has sent me the program in here so I can study, which I've been doing, and we're ready to do that. And as far as more treatment for the facility, we are deeply rooted in our church, and they have men's groups. And we have a good pastor who's been in touch with my wife throughout this whole process. So I do feel like I have a good support system. I'm not very good at communicating.
So let me ask you, how come that support system didn't help you out when you were on the outside before? This is your second time in. What happened that it didn't help you out before?
I wasn't applying myself.
And how is that different today that you're going to be applying yourself? How is that different? Because I'm not seeing that. So because I don't see you advocating strongly for the additional things that you need to do to be able to get out. That's my concern. And I want to see you succeed. That's my whole thing. And I'm sure the panel wants to see you succeed. We shouldn't want to see you come back, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to see you succeed. So I'm just trying to figure out how that happens for you. How do we make that success possible for you? And I don't know that is by letting you out right now. I'm going to, of course, listen to what my colleagues have to say and to see what they ask as well. But at this moment, I need to share with you, I am somewhat concerned about. I'm not feeling that you're really ready at this point to go out because of the lack of programming that you have. And you've got these DRs that are not so far back. I mean, the last one was disobeying direct order, and that was in October of 23. Well, a year and a half ago. But still within the last 2 years, so even though you haven't had anything, I am still concerned about it.
Yes, I mean it's not easy to get into programs. I mean, unless you're on your OAP, it's really not easy to get into programs. So my lack of not having it, I mean, I just came here 5 months ago, and there's 1,500
But you are a 5 in your substance abuse. The drugs that you were taking were very serious drugs, heroin and fentanyl. I mean, that's pretty serious, right? Those are killing people out in the street. Fentanyl's killing people out the street. So that's very serious. It's not as if you don't have a serious issue. Yeah. Right now at this moment, I don't have any additional questions for you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kinnertz. But thank you for talking to me and answering my question.
Yes, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Board Member Rodriguez. Board Member Turner.
Sir, why were you refusing to go to court?
I had just really came in, and I was sick, and I was just sick, and I was in the process of getting the methadone and getting on my feet, and there really is no good reason I should have went. I was ill at the time.
So I get, the first time you had just come into prison the day before,
Yeah.
but that was September, and you refused to go in October, and then you refused to go again in December. And I can't help but wonder if you hadn't been more willing to participate in the process, you might have gotten sentenced earlier, and you might have made more progress on your rehabilitation before coming up for a hearing. And, you were still sick by December?
No, I was not.
Okay, so why wouldn't you go to court and step up to your adult responsibilities and be accountable for your crimes.
I was just not in a good place at that time. I felt like my life was over and there was no point in proceeding.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you seem to feel differently at this point. So I want to point out a few things. So you were convicted of robbery in the first degree, and you got discretionary parole and transfer parole on that sentence, and you came out in 2011. So at that point, you were a convicted felon prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition. You still are, and now you have 5 years on the deadly weapon offender registry when you come back out to the community.
Yes.
You're aware of that obligation?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You have no criminal convictions between 2011, when you came off of supervision, and 2021.
Yes.
Now we know that you did detox in 2020, so there was, maybe not a full 10 years of you functioning out in the community. You've been involved in the business of paving for 10 years, and you've been married for 9. So you were doing some things right. And it clearly fell apart before your mom died, because you just told my colleague you did detox and then just continued to relapse. So why,
Yes,
what
was,
happened? You had your life together. What happened?
Yeah, in 2017, I was hit by a dump truck. I was working on a paving job and I was hit by a dump truck. So I was taking painkillers. They were prescribed, and then the detox was me getting off of that.
Yeah.
And then after that I was just having trouble.
Using because you just felt sick.
Yeah, I was.
To keep from feeling sick. Okay. So I read you went to Florida to pick up drugs.
No, I left and we went out there to buy a car, and I was using drugs along the way.
Mm-hmm. And is this the car that you acquired that already had a gun in it?
No, the gun was left in there by a friend of mine.
You are trash.
And
Okay, well, we knew the magazine was left by somebody else, and that was a different case. So,
Yes.
like when you tell the truth, sir, you just have to remember one story.
Yes.
And here we seem to be hitting a point of confusion with some of the details. Have you, how many brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay. How's your relationship with your brothers?
Good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He knows you used his name to try to get out of a traffic stop?
You are trash.
Yes.
Uh-huh. What stands out for me, you knew you had the hearing today, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you chose not to prepare anything. And I'm struggling to figure out where you're at, because you just don't seem to be quite on board with what we're doing today. I'm glad you have a good release plan. You have 3 years of probation, 5 years on the deadly weapon offender registry. But sir, I'm really concerned about your decision-making. It's a series of really poor choices you are making out in the community that, are high risk to public safety. So I would need you to do some programs before I found that you were appropriate to be back in the community on discretionary parole. It's certainly possible that DOC, you're already halfway house approved, right?
I believe
Yeah, but
so.
you just want to go to your wife's house. So, so that's an option if you don't want to do the programs. But, and I know that it's hard to get into them, but I think you need to do more to prepare yourself to be successful when you're back in the community. You told Officer Menard that you've done too much damage to repair it. What does that mean? Do you not intend to make amends and try to, give back to the community for the harm that you've caused?
No, I thought I said that to you. I thought I said, I felt like there was, when I came into jail, like I had done too much damage to repair it.
But if I didn't hear you say it today, but you did say it to Officer Menard when you were interviewed. You're only 41. You're only perhaps at the midpoint in your life. You definitely have enough time, and it's just whether you have a commitment to give back to make up for the harm that you've caused. And I hope you'll make that decision because, it will help you with forgiving yourself for some of this and build your self-esteem when you help others. So thank you for talking with me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Board Member Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Kenny kind of hurts. For me, the charges that we were looking at were very, very serious. And we're always concerned about, so his previous history, with driving under the influence, the robbery first, those things kind of impacted me looking at them. When he presented his opening statement, he didn't address any of those, anything in the recent charges. So it's hard to, I agree with my colleague that it was hard to kind of get a read on him initially because he really didn't give us a lot other than what we have written for him, which is that he hasn't been taking any programmings other than methadone maintenance. And he's been, doing some things there, which I think are important. I think he has a very severe addiction issue that still needs to be addressed. And as I shared earlier, I think he still needs to do some programming. I'd like to see him do some, maybe get back into a tier program somewhere and do something that will help him kind of begin to prepare a more solid relapse prevention plan coming on the outside, because I think his release plan is a good release plan. I mean, he's got some good things that he wants to do and he wants to get accomplished. And it seems that he has the support that he has in his community, which is his wife, from what I can tell, is positive, and that's always a positive thing when your partner is going to be supportive of your efforts and trying to better yourself. But for the moment, I am not in support of his discretionary parole. I would entertain, bringing him back if there's something that we think that he can accomplish in the time that he has left, which is about a year and a few months, because EOS is in May of 26. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. July 30th, 2026.
So July of 2026, I had July of 2026. So there's some time available for him to be able to get into some programming to kind of help him prepare on the addiction side to really be kind of set. Because I think that's where he falters. That's where he seems to have his issue. Under certain kind of stresses, he relapses. And that's kind of where I'm at this point. But I'd be happy to hear what my colleagues have to say in terms of a rehear. Right now, I'm a denial.
Board Member Turner.
I'm looking at the parole summary from his last period of incarceration. And he had done no programs at that point as well. He was on the wait list for everything, including addiction services. I came in with a deny and a rehear, and I'm not feeling very enthusiastic about a rehear. I don't know. There's something that we're not getting today.
I felt the same way. There was something missing in today's interactions and responses.
She just said she denied me before we even came here.
We come in prepared with a decision and then we get input and we listen. So
Thank you for your time. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So,
criminal history?
just give us a second, okay?
Are we gonna stay? Okay.
Criminal history.
Where are you with a rehear?
I mean, he's halfway house approved.
Mhm. but he wants to go live with his wife.
Well, but he's halfway house approved.
Mhm.
So sit in there or go to the halfway house and do programs in the community, which is what this looks like it's headed to. So, I mean, he can make the choice of whether or not he wants to go to,
Yeah.
the DOC halfway house that he's been approved for. But we're smack on the button. I mean, he had one hell of a run out here
Mhm.
that had guns involved with it. Go figure, right? And the thing is that you just, we could have done, what he's done in the community, right? So he's had no institutional programming, so there's nothing here to measure some kind of change from, right?
That's the issue. That's exactly the issue.
And I mean, that's the thing, and
But, but I look at, he had rebuilt his life after his last period of incarceration. He was on a solid path, and then his addiction grabbed him. And in part, no fault of his own. He had an injury and was probably overprescribed pain medication. And we see that all the time.
Right.
I'd be willing to rehear him in December and incentivize him to do programs so that he could live with his wife, or he to be successful with the remaining 9 months, or flat out deny.
I don't know what we're gonna get. I mean, we're rocking a hard spot.
Can somebody get into an IOP without being actively using in active addiction?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that can be done, and that's an evaluation. I mean, that's an evaluation that would happen with parole. Because he does. I have it as a 4. And that's something that's going to be looked at by parole right away.
Are you denying him? Or I'm not sure what I'm hearing from you.
I mean,
Okay.
And that's I'm not sure what I'm saying.
Okay. Thank you for being honest. Yeah, it is. It's all over the place.
Because it's between a rock and a hard spot. If he had the tier programs coming in here, we might have heard something different.
And when I look at it, it's like part of why I think he didn't have a tier program is to get all the damn DRs because he wouldn't go to court.
Right.
And that pushed out his sentencing date, which pushed him further away from programs. So he's his own worst enemy in this experience. But I am a denial. And I would be willing to rehear him in December, and that's where I stand. So,
and I could support that because I feel like it was denied, but I wouldn't consider it.
I could give him an opportunity on discretionary parole and
give him that chance.
Yeah,
but you're denying me for something that's out of my control. I cannot make the DOC take me to a program.
Just hang on.
You are trash.
Right now, we're talking about public safety. And you going out the door and sticking a needle back in your arm is not public safety. We're trying to figure out what is the best for you. Okay? In our opinion on suitability for parole. That's what we're trying to figure out. It's nothing against you or anything like that. Right?
It feels like it is because she told me that I was denied before she even came in the building. So how does that make somebody like me feel?
It's not.
Makes me not even want to try to say, you know what, I don't even want parole because
we have to
this is what I have to deal with.
No parole for tape.
Sure, we have to prepare coming into a hearing, and we read everything and we get a picture.
No, I understand.
And we use. Wait a minute, let me finish. And we use an instrument to guide our decision making. And then we come in with an open mind
Right.
And in all fairness, I wanted to hear from you. And I was tremendously underwhelmed by you today. That's why I asked you when you knew when the hearing was. Because everybody who sat in that chair today has had a prepared statement. And you just winged it. And I get that you haven't had the programs and you've only been in the facility for 5 months. But you created that situation through your refusal to go to court 3 times. Pushing out your sentencing date, pushing out your OAP. So you need to step up and take some responsibility for the situation you're in right now. This isn't
There's
all on
nothing on my
DOC.
OAP though. There's
Yes,
nothing
there
on
is.
there.
This isn't the situation that DOC alone has created. You've been party to it as well.
So
I'm
Look,
not
I'm
saying-
sitting here willing to bring you back and give you another chance once you get programming. I can deny you flat out if that's what you want. But I'm trying to give you a chance to perhaps go out in December to your family, to your wife, to start rebuilding your life.
And they're
So
gonna
I'm not
know.
being unfair.
right.
They're gonna know that we're gonna want you to do programs.
It'll help you get into them.
Right.
Um, so it's March. We're talking about a tier program.
Oh, 9 months. December, but
Oh, wait, hang on for 1 second.
I'm not negotiating off of December. I think he has other programs. New thinking, this is a
Okay.
textbook for this guy. Voices, there's a lot he could be doing. And as our other colleague pointed out, a relapse prevention plan.
Okay, so we'll give him the tools and we'll see if what he's gonna do. Because he's got 2 choices. So I have criminal history, inadequate evidence, offender change, inadequate institutional program participation.
Thing. Yep.
I have 1225. I have a tier program. A tier program.
prevention.
Recovery plan. And do we want to get into new thinking and voices, or do we just say positive program
No DRs and additional programming.
and positive program? Right?
It's all positive, isn't it?
Right, just like without naming them, because we did say
Yes.
voices and new thinking, right?
Well, to give him an idea of some of the things that he could be asking
Okay.
for.
So, regarding Joseph Kennyhurst, 357940, I move to deny parole at this time, based on criminal history, inadequate institutional program participation, and inadequate evidence of offender change, and to rehear this case in December of 2025, and suggest that he take a tier program, any other positive programming, come back with a recovery plan that he can implement when he's in the community. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. So Mr. Kennyhurst, what we did was we asked, we've denied parole today. We've asked, we put some things in place that are going to be on the decision so that you can get into some programming in the institution. We'll rehear you in December for being able to go out on parole. There's no guarantee if you apply yourself to the program and you come with a written statement next time, it may go better for you than it did today, right? And then, you can always think about that you've been halfway house approved. So you can talk to the parole officer about what all of that means, okay?
Yes.
I appreciate you coming today.
Good luck to you.
And they just they're like, yeah, we need something. We have to take some programs and you'll get fixed. I know if we could just have you in the programs a little bit longer, you'll be healed, you'll be solved. I mean, think about this guy has such a long record. I mean, even think about it. Right up before this arrest, where he's caught with 2 firearms in his car, and he was arrested 3 times leading up to that. And he kept just getting out. It's like, the catch and release thing. I mean, can you imagine that that you cannot have a firearm, but you have 2 firearms? You have their illegal firearms. They have illegal magazines, and you still, even with everything, even with after getting into an accident and hurting 2 city workers and then driving off to some parking lot and going to sleep, you still, with your long record, only get a 3-year sentence. And then while locked up, refusing to, I guess, take UA tests and refusing to go through. He's like, oh, it's not my fault. I couldn't get the well, you couldn't get the programs because you were getting tickets and refusing to pee in a cup. Like, dude, oh my gosh, this is it's crazy. And his attitude and the patience of the parole board, they should have just shut it down, I think. But they're drunk on their own Kool-Aid. They need programs on their own Kool-Aid. They think that programs can help this man, and all of a sudden it will magically rehabilitate him. So thank you, Lady Holly, for this. Let me just paint a picture. So arrest date 10/29/2021, offense date 5/19. Oh, this is interesting. So did it take them 5 months to catch him? I wonder how that works. Maybe, he ran away and they just, I don't know. So he has false concerning injury or death. So again, I guess this is something with him running away from that accident. Reckless endangerment and unconditional discharge. 3 years jail, but I don't know why there's no, let's see here. 7/17/2023 is the local arrest date. So that's 2 months later. This is 2-year jail sentence, criminal possession of ammunition. He gets 6 years for that, suspended after 2. So I don't know. So for the large magazine, he gets 2 years. For the firearm, he gets 6 years, but they suspend it all after 2. It's actually confusing for me the way that they break this down. Here you have evade, injury, property damage through 64 days. I'm trying to figure out if this is 2 different crimes. 2021, 2022. No, I think they're just back-to-back similar offenses. Stealing a firearm, criminal possession of a revolver. I mean, like, look at all these years, right? Like, they're just stacked on top of each other. Yet he had a parole hearing 2 years into that sentence, and he's getting out regardless after 3 years. I mean, I think that's just why it's so confusing, because there are so many charges with so many long sentences, but it's like it's all just a gimmick. It's all a gimmick. And as you can clearly see, he didn't deserve any of this mercy. He needed a long sentence because he's done nothing in prison. But it seems to me that maybe he was still doing narcotics. Oh my gosh. And if you're on your best behavior in a parole board meeting and you actually start yelling at the parole board, the way he's pointing his finger, it was so scary. Imagine if he's out on this is you're just waiting for something bad to happen. Next crime, same year. Lady Holly breaks down the links, but we've gone through that. Let's see. Here, let's go read one of the articles that Lady Holly found. A Bridgeport man is facing multiple charges after police say he found with an illegal high-capacity rifle following a crash that injured 2 city employees. Police say Joseph is a convicted felon who is now charged with illegal possession of a large-capacity magazine and criminal possession of a firearm. He was also motor vehicle infraction. They say the crash happened Monday morning at the intersection of East Main. Police say they got a call from the city employee reporting an accident involving a city pickup truck and a van. When police responded to the accident, they say officers found a rifle and ammunition in his van. So the arrest didn't happen months after. I'm a little confused about the first one, guys. I'm sorry. 2 city workers were taken to the hospital and were treated for injuries that were not life-threatening. Court records show that he'd been arrested multiple times since that last month. Police say that he was arrested in Milford last month after falling asleep in his car with a stolen handgun. Okay. It happened at the Wendy's parking lot. So that's why it's confusing, because twice he's found with an illegal. So he's arrested as a felon with a stolen handgun. He's let out, I'm guessing, on bond or something, where then he crashes and is found with 2 guns. And again, he only gets 3 years. And he has a first-degree robbery in his jacket, which first degree is, I think that's the equivalent to like Louisiana's aggravated robbery. I think it means that you're using a weapon. How do you only get 3? I mean, a judge, this isn't about even being, this is about you need to protect the public. This guy clearly is dangerous and you need time to rehabilitate. Clearly 3 years is not enough time. And, you know, they gave him a chance. They're kicking the ball down the road, and we will see him again. And when we do, it will be in the return of playlist. So make sure to check that out. But I can't stand it. Like, there's nothing about this guy that makes you feel like he should not have gotten a longer sentence. Give him a healthy sentence. Time to really sit down and think about his life choices, because this is just kicking the ball down the road, and it's scary and it's dangerous. And it's someone gave me the gun. Shut up. Why do you? And I love what there's. Do you know how to use the gun? It's so dangerous. How would you could have shot an innocent bystander? And it's like, what? You need to tell me that you don't think that maybe he got the gun to commit first-degree armed robbery so he could hurt innocent bystanders? Like, it's just, the question always breaks my brain. Oh, so you assume that he only has the gun to protect himself, and now the danger is that if he's in the situation where another bad guy with the gun tries to get him, the bad guy with the gun, and he doesn't know how to use it and he gets in it, that's your biggest concern. Great. Genius. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
No, I understand.
And we use,
but-
wait a minute, let me finish. And we use an instrument to guide our decision-making. And then we come in with an open mind.
Right.
And in all fairness, I wanted to hear from you. And I was tremendously underwhelmed by you today. That's why I asked you when you knew when the hearing was. Because everybody who sat in that chair today has had a prepared statement. And you just winged it. And I get that you haven't had the programs and you've only been in the facility for 5 months. But you created that situation through your refusal to go to court 3 times.